So in this video I'm going to address something that I hope is going to make sense to you. So I'm going to address Headscarf. So I personally pray quite a few times every day, and when I do so I do wear headscarf, and most of the time when I'm out and about I do wear headscarf. However, there are certain situations that I do not wear headscarf in. And why do I make my own choices? Well, because I am a free human being and I am free to make my own choices, And some people may go to say that, well, are you really free, or are you following, the higher source or whatever context you may be in? Well, I do follow the higher source to the extent that I feel is most suitable, But when it comes to if someone else who is a human in this time, in this moment, or is any other human throughout history is going to define what I make for choices in this time, that is not the choices of them, It's my choices. So I'm sitting at home and I'm doing studies now, and I have a big assignment after tomorrow. So I am just studying, and talking with you here, And this is like a time when I'm not surrounded by, any kind of thing that is going to have sort of direct impact on me, depending on how I'm sort of dressing my head. And also, I make my own choices. So now the question for you is maybe that, am I, not wearing headscarf after this? The thing is, I'm going to wear headscarf as much as I find suitable and possible in relation to my life. And not just in relation to my life, but also in relation to, the different context and just, everyday kind of situations. So you will definitely see me wearing quite a lot of headscarf, because as I said, when I pray, I do wear headscarf. So that means that, when I pray, one of the sort of ways of actually staying pure, and when you're actually going to do your prayer, is that if you have hair on your head, you have to keep it, clean. And if I'm out and about and I'm going to different places and it's like not so clean, and so forth, I want to cover my head, because once I'm doing the prayer, I want to be clean, so I don't have to wash my whole head, just because I'm going to do a prayer. And also in many places, in the society, you are more in a direct kind of, situation where you have to face individuals who may not always hold the best intention for you. And in those kinds of situations, when it's also about, certain things, I do prefer to wear a headscarf, And I think that, in some instances I'm in a quite good, this kind of place, because I'm actually, I'm from Sweden. I have lived in Dubai and in the Middle East, and I have chosen my path, in, that I'm wearing headscarf as much as I possibly can. And not just because it's something that I put on, because every single thing you do that has an intention, it must be of the right intention, And if the intention is, better that you do something else in a certain timing, then I'm going to adhere, to that intention. So there are certain intentions when I'm doing certain things that do not, demand that I'm wearing headscarf. So that's why, this whole duality kind of concept is that, things are not going to, be exactly similar from one moment to another. Things are shifting, but it's the long-term active choices that we make that makes a difference. So I do wearing headscarf most of the time, and that's something I will continue with, but I'm also not always wearing it, you know, and that depends on the situations, because I adapt quite a lot, you know. I'm quite conscious about different things, so I do adapt myself into, you know, certain things, you know, in what I'm doing. So yeah, I'm just going to continue study now, you know, and you know, to sort of pass this assignment that I have. But I want to clarify this because there is also quite a lot of people, you know, who have certain concepts and stuff, you know, about people who wearing headscarf, you know. And I think that we have to understand one very important thing, and that is that freedom of choice is a individual person's, you know, choices. So it's something that an individual person must take, you know, and whatever someone else is thinking, well, it's none of their business. It's none of their business, you know. It doesn't necessarily harm anyone else if I'm wearing a headscarf or if I'm not wearing it. I mean, if you're wearing what kind of clothes you're wearing, I mean, it's your choice, you know. However, I do prefer wearing headscarf most of the time, because in most situations there is something that is, you know, demanding it, you know, or something that for me I feel like it's very important that I'm wearing it. But in certain situations, you know, which are, for example, like this, I am, you know, modest in other ways, and yeah, so then I'm not wearing headscarf. And I think that this is something that me, as a person who have you know, who is born in Sweden, and I have this sort of global kind of identity, you know, I think that I'm a quite good representative for, you know, having this kind of concept of, you know, taking the path that is for me, you know. And I think that regardless of what someone else is going to have to say about this, well, it's really not going to make that much difference, you know, what someone else is thinking. It's more going to reflect something in themselves, you know. And you have to understand that, you know, things, every single moment is not going to be exactly the same. But I think that everyone who's choosing to wear a headscarf as much as they possibly wish to wear it, you know, because it is their own choices, you know. It's perfectly fine, you know, and it's as perfectly fine if a man is not wearing a headscarf, you know. That's also perfectly fine, you know. We are not criticizing men who are not wearing headscarf, you know. So I think this is a very important concept, that, you know, we cannot make, you know, too demanding criteria on anyone, you know, regardless if it's a man or woman, because it's her or his or that or whoever's choices, you know. And as to their best kind of abilities, and depending on their sort of life and how they are living and what they're doing, I mean, you know, certain things are not going to be visible in the person's looks, you know. And that's one thing that is important as well, you know. So that was just this short kind of, you know, explanation. And I'm going to continue now with this study, because I have to finish it. And